I get asked a lot by consultants who have kind of already in the middle of their year, who have started early in the year but didn't have, an EZPZ spreadsheet. I only released these in June, so it's been half a year now. So if you're a consultant who has started earlier prior to EZPZ spreadsheets being released, or haven't discovered us yet, but still want to get into it with the close of the year, it's right now it's December, and 2016 is close to the end. 2017 will be starting here up pretty soon. So how do I use a spreadsheet, and how do I start from the middle to the end of the year, and then then I can start fresh come 2017. Well, this video I'm going to show you how to do that. Pretty much for being close to the end of the year and everything, there are a couple areas that you'll want to manage. Get data entered into. You won't have a few items available to you just because of the length and the detail of the entries that you'll need to do. Stuff like inventory you won't be able to do, but you will be able to do things like expenses and so forth. The key template here is this Schedule C template. Now I'm in Basic, so I don't have any of the navigation with me, so I'll be doing it kind of longhand. But if you're in Flagship, just click on here and it'll take you to Schedule C. Okay. Now the template doesn't fill in all of your boxes. Again, if you have any questions on this tab, definitely check out the video for the Schedule C that I did for Flagship in the user's manual, where I go over each of the boxes and what they mean. But for us this year, what you'll want to do is get the information in so that you can get these boxes available to you. And they're really broken down into 3 sections. The first section is your gross receipts or sales. Second section is your expenditures or your expenses. And then the third section is down here in part 2 is your cost of goods sold. Okay, so let me go over each section and show you what tab you'll need to fill in to get that box to populate. Part 1 is for the income. You have the choice typically of using gross receipts or sales, but gross sales would require you to enter in every line item, every sale that you did for the year. So for the most part, that probably is not available to you, just because you could have up to 500, 600, 1,000 lines of sale data to input. Just too time consuming right now, and it's something if you did have the time and the energy to do, you could definitely do it. But for what is available is just using our gross receipts. So gross receipts is just your deposits. So I'm going to go to the deposits tab. And all you need to do is log into BLS, go to your payments report, and then just type in all your payments. So, let's see, 12, 31, 17, 12, 17, and LLR is your choice here. So those are all the payments from LuLaRoe, and then you would just type in what you got across the top, that the report, processing fees, and then sales tax remitted, and then these are optional, of course, but these are the 5 lines that you need, and just go right down the list. All of the payments that were sent to you from LuLaRoe, throw them all up here, and so forth. And so what it will do is it will start populating your Schedule C. For 2017, you do need to check in reference. Schedule C income needs to be set to gross receipts. Okay, I'm in the reference tab. There it is. So as you input all your deposits, your income will start to populate. You also want to include any cash deposits. So live parties, you'll want to include those as well. Just throwing some numbers up here. No processing fees, no sales tax remitted by LLR, but it will calculate to the right. Okay. And again, as you add that data will. So that's part one. The second part's pretty straightforward. It's all of your business expenses. You can see there's some starting to populate with the fees, and that's just your processing fees that have been charged to you. But for this will go here in the expenses tab. Okay, and again, just line items, everything you've purchased throughout the year, supplies, shipping costs, computers, racks, hangers, everything pertaining to your business that you used solely for the business, you'll want to enter here. So we can just do just enter a couple. 12, 1, 17. We'll do. As it gets slower. Here, actually, that should not be protected. Okay, drop-down box isn't working here, but we will get that fixed. There will be a drop-down box that will show you the categories, and those categories are actually based on this list here. Okay. So actually, I will grab office expenses just for the time being. There we go. And then like stamps.com, and then we paid $50. Okay. So as you add those in, of course, it'll start to add up in your Schedule C. Okay, that's section 2. Last section is the cost of goods sold, and for you don't need things like cost of labor. There's no materials or supplies or other costs. Really, it's 3 items. It's inventory at the beginning of the year, the inventory at the end of the year, and the purchases less cost of items withdrawn for personal use. And so all this is inventory at the beginning and end. So we're going to go to inventory summary, and here are the 2 big boxes here. Now, if you started in 2016, your inventory is 0. If you started before 2016, you will want to know what your inventory value was on January 1. And you'll just have to go back to your whatever records you had at the time to determine what that value was. Inventory at the end of the year. So on January 1st or December 31st, you'll want to count all of your inventory, and you'll have to add the valuation of that inventory here in that box. One way to do it here is if you haven't put any inventory in yet, you can go to receipts, and you can go to the right, the far right of receipts. There's a section here for initial inventory. Now this is typically used to set up your inventory for beginning of the year, but you can include your inventory here, the quantity you have in stock, and just put some big numbers in the leggings. Okay, and what it will do is then it will include those items in inventory and then give you a total valuation, and that valuation you can carry over to the end of the year. And this is only for if you haven't entered in receipts and sales. You're starting, you're just trying to close out 2016. and you need a valuation of your inventory. It's a good tool to use that you can just enter in your inventory. It'll give you the valuation, and actually you can use this to carry over into 2017 and beyond at the beginning of the year for your new beginning of your inventory. So this value at the end of 1 year becomes that same value at the beginning of the next year. Okay, so let's go back to Schedule C. Okay, obviously it was 0 at the beginning of the year, 12, 75 at the end of the year. Okay, we'll zoom in a little bit. The last item is purchases less cost of items withdrawn for personal use. So we need 2 more figures. The first is inventory purchases, and this is here. This comes from build. So you log into build and you log into your orders, and you just need to list all of the orders you've made during the year. So by date, and just list them out. 17, and then usually there's an order number that goes with it, and then the cost that was with it. You order them all out, then your Schedule C will populate the purchases, and the last item is the less cost of items withdrawn for personal use, and this comes from self. So whatever items you've pulled out of your inventory for your own personal use, all you'll really need here is the style code and the expense. So what you'll just need to do is you'll need to know what the wholesale cost is. Another thing you could do that might be helpful is just go to a pop-up manager, open up a blank pop-up. You're going to sell it to yourself, and then just type in everything you pulled, style code and quantity. Okay, Legos, just type a couple items here. Okay, well, that's a lot of leggings. One thing you will want to do is give it the full discount and then self. Okay, now that note is right here. What to do for self. Full discount X, discount code self. The reason I'm having you do this is because at the bottom of your sheet here, now in Basic and Google Sheets and Numbers, it'll be located here, about halfway down. It's transfer any items withdrawn for personal use to self. If in Flagship, that's located all the way down here at the bottom. So just to note where it is. And all you're doing here is copying to self. Date doesn't really matter, because as long as it's within the year, you'll be good. Now that that's populated into here, now you don't really need this information. The 2 that you really do need is just style code and expense. But sometimes it's, you can either do this manually if you know what the wholesale cost of each item is. Add it up together times the quantity, then you can definitely do that. So once this is in, what you'll see is, going to your Schedule C, is that it's decreasing your purchases. So it's purchases minus the cost of items withdrawn for your own use. Okay. So these 3 figures, two for this one, comes back up here and populates in should be line 4. Yes, it is line 4. Should be U87. That's why it's manual. Line 40 from 41. So you just fix this on the fly using some tax code. There it is. Okay. And so once you have all of those figures in, then you're good, at least for this year, to close out with what you need. You can that'll close you out for this year, and then what you can do is then start filling in receipts and sales, and you can start using inventory tracking and some other features like that, order management for 2017. But for the time being, this is a good use of using this spreadsheet to help you kind of close out the year with the data that you have available, and then for 2017 you can really start afresh. Hope you found this video helpful, and definitely check out all the other videos that are available for this to really get you familiarized with the spreadsheet.